Happy 2022! So you watched the first part of the series where I showed you everything until the moment I joined my ikki 68 Aurora group buy, and you want to see what happens next, either because you're nervous about doing your actual first custom keyboard build, or you just want to relive that moment through the eyes of someone else, or you just want to be entertained. Okay, good. Let's continue. It was a long 8-month wait until the keyboard actually shipped, and from what I can tell, that's pretty much middle of the road when it comes to group buys. Some group buys can last up to years. You heard that right? Years of waiting after joining the group buy, so just be mindful of that before joining into one. Just do a little bit of research when it comes to finding if the manufacturer has any previous experience with group buys, see if in the past they delivered on time or were they late, and if you're a religious person, maybe say a couple of prayers and maybe that will help. That's pretty much all you can do when it comes to just joining the group buys. During this wait, I had plenty of time to find all the extra parts that you need in order to fully assemble a keyboard. And these parts are much easier to find in stock and readily available than the keyboards themselves. And if this is your first build, you will at least need some switches, keycaps, stabilizers, and if you plan on doing some modding, which you probably should anyways, you should also get at least a thin brush, a thin pair of tweezers, a couple of grams of lube, a switch opener, and that's about it. Also, I'll leave a link in the description to a list that Alex Soto's made, a fellow YouTuber and Twitch streamer, and he pretty much just parsed all the vendors that he knows and he has used in the past in different continents so that you can avoid paying extremely high shipping costs or just import taxes in general that you will pay if you simply just order everything from a vendor in, for example, China. Unless you're in China. If you're in China, buy from China. I went with Gateron Black Inks. They are linear switches, meaning they have a smooth travel with no tactility, and they are one of the smoothest switches available even without any lube applied. They're also on the heavy side, coming in at 60 gram actuation and a 70 gram bottom out force, so you definitely have to be quite deliberate when typing, and typos are much less common because of the actuation force, whilst at the same time they feel very comfortable to type on for long periods of time. I knew I wanted something clean and simple in the Cherry profile. There are a lot of different keycap profiles, meaning the shape and the size of the keys, and Cherry is probably the standard profile in the industry. They are slightly stepped, meaning the top keys stick out more than the bottom ones for easy reaching, and each key is slightly dimpled at the top so that it's easier to line up your fingers. Nothing too crazily shaped or scooped, just an overall safe bet when it comes to the keycap profile. I settled on some EPBT black on white keycaps for daily use, and I really enjoyed them, but I'll make the next video on the series just about keycaps so that you can learn from my mistakes, because spoiler alert, buying cheap knockoff keycaps can be a bad idea, and I learned that the hard way. I went with the best choice, Durock V2s. They are considered the best since you have to do minimal tuning to get them to sound good, and they are readily available, making them a no-brainer for most builds. I also got 5 grams of Krytox 205 grade 0 lube, some PE foam, and a couple of band-aids for some mods that will feature in detail in an upcoming video. With all that prepared, and after 8 months of waiting, on the morning of October 11th, the excitement when my doorbell rang was something else. Inside the simple cardboard box, I had my ikki 68 Aurora in graphite, the stock hot swappable PCB with support for multiple layouts, the stock aluminum plate, as well as a polycarbonate plate that I bought as an extra, the extra weight to make this plastic keyboard feel more substantial, a carrying case that feels quite nice and sturdy, a black coiled USB cable, and some extra little things like this coin telling me the exact production number of my keyboard. And that was it. All that was left was to build the damn thing, and I wanted to fully experience the entire progression and not just completely jump to the conclusion. So my first ever build was completely stock, which means no looped stabilizers, no looped switches, just a stock aluminum plate with the stock gasket placement, since in this particular keyboard you can add and remove gaskets, and no modding whatsoever, just a complete stock sound and stock feel keyboard just to give us a baseline to progress from. I started with the stabilizers since they can only be installed when the PCB is outside the case. You want to line up the housing so that the wire goes in on the side with 2 holes and clip that in place. Make sure you know how big your spacebar and modifier need to be, but for most layouts you will want a 6.5 unit spacebar and a 2 unit shift and enter and backspace key. Once you have all the stabilizers in place and screwed in, you can test if the stabilizers can move up and down by holding the stem and moving it, well, up and down. And once that's done, you can pretty much start popping in switches and screw the keyboard case shut. And the only thing missing are the keycaps. One tip I can give you is that it's very easy to bend the pins on the switches when inserting them into their hot swappable sockets. So try your best to line up the pins before pushing them in place, and if you bend them, don't panic, use the tweezers to straighten them back up again and all should be good. And all of it came down to this moment, and this is what the keyboard actually sounded like in its stock configuration. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty underwhelmed by the sound. It's not bad, but it's definitely not great, but it made it abundantly clear for me what actually makes custom keyboards special. It's all the time and dedication that you put into tweaking the keyboard and making it sound extra special. So in the next video on the series, I'll bring this keyboard from its stock form to this. And I think we can all agree this sounds much, much, much better. But you're here, but it's absolutely nothing to do with custom keyboards. You're just here for some Feline Action, and I will surely try to find what Gatsby has been doing in the past hour of me recording. Thanks for watching, have a great year, yeah, bye!